Okay, so I think it's recording. And so, what I'm going to do today is we're going to talk about how to find deals. So, basically, a lot of people come to me and they say, Christine, can you find me a cruise deal, like a 4-day getaway sometime in January or something like that? Or just like, where can I go? I have this week off in February and I don't know where to start. So, a lot of times I start with a Google search. So, literally, Google flights. And I find that it's easiest if you find like a larger airport near you. So I live near Harrisburg, but I'll search something like Philadelphia, Newark, JFK if I'm really going farther, like if I'm going to Europe or if I'm going to a farther Caribbean island. Um, so you can search anywhere, and this is easy on your phone too, or you can hit explore. So you can kind of go in and see, like, pick a date, say, like, you have this week off, like the 8th to the 15th in February, and you can hit explore. I think a little bit lower too, there was a spot there, but you can start kind of exploring. You can say that you want to do a nonstop. You can start playing around with different airports. So this is kind of how I find deals. And I'm like, you know what? Wow, look, Orlando's only $89. Some of them are a little bit pricier. Seattle, well, it is February, so that's kind of cold. But so you can kind of do this to start and kind of get an idea. But I know that on my phone, it was like giving me, everything. Like it's saying, this week you should go to Portugal. And I'm like, yes, please. Like, like around here, like kind of just exploring and kind of scrolling down in your Google flights and being flexible with your dates is really the easiest way. And again, being really um, like flexible with your airports too. So like, how do I find cheap flights for a weekend getaway? So the more flexible you are, the easier you can find things. Another really important thought, just in flights, is that I know that I was searching for JFK the other day to St. Vincent because there's a sandals property there and I would love to go. And I would love to do something shorter, maybe just 3 days. So when you search down here, Kim, can you see my screen okay? Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you for confirming. So when I go here, you can see on this map days that there are no flights. So that's important to see. And then you can also do, like, I have 7-day trips. You can move it down to maybe like a 3 or 4-day trip. So say 3 days, and then you can start. So like February 1st, it's only 280. So I'm going to click here. It'll be a Sunday to Wednesday is 280. And so that's how I find cheap things. You can also hit reset on that. And again, you can go from 3-day to 4-day, but that's a really easy way to use this grid and kind of plan your vacation around that. And you can really see too where it goes, in the 300s here, and then kind of move it into like June and July, you're more in the 400s, 600s. So that's a good way for you if you're traveling or if your clients are traveling, for you to get a good idea that maybe like July 1st is a terrible idea because it's $1,000, right? But going back to kind of those February dates, say I pick like the 1st to the 4th and I go to search, I can find a nonstop here on JetBlue. And I picked February just because it's probably like a month, almost 2 months out at this point, and a nonstop back. So being flexible in the dates, like not a Saturday to Tuesday or something like that on some of these smaller islands, is going to get you these nonstops. So I always try and tell my clients, if you've got that week, you might want to just shift it by a day or two so you can get some better flights. And then when you scroll down a little bit further, I always think this is really exciting here, is to see like 277 is low for economy, 177 cheaper than usual, and the price history for this flight has stayed really constant. It might go up in a few days. You can always like on this track prices up here, and you can do this in Expedia too. So that's how if my dates are flexible or if my clients' dates are flexible, that's how I start to search for options for cheaper flights. So through Google, through Expedia, track those prices, and then even using that graph that they started at the beginning, that calendar, or looking down here and just being able to educate my clients that these prices are low or these prices are high. It'll tell you here kind of what they normally cost. It will even, when you scroll to the top, and Kim, you've probably seen this, it will sometimes even say, change your airport to JFK. So if I go to change this flight and say I wanted to go out of, like, I'll say LaGuardia because that's going to usually say, think about JFK. It just didn't that time. Maybe I try Newark, something close. And usually it'll say, well, this is not saying it today. But usually it'll say, how about you try a different airport? But you can see how terrible these are. These are about 20 hours, right? So in that flexibility, just scooting over to JFK, you're going to save so much time and money, and you're going to get that nonstop flight. So that's how I search and find deals in flights. Now in cruises, I'm going to pick 2 cruise lines that are pretty popular. The way I'm going to search is going to be on the consumer portal. I always find that to be easiest. And then to actually book, I always go into the travel advisor portal. So into the portal where we can see truly like how many seats are still left on that cruise on different floors and different categories, as opposed to the consumer view. But let's do Royal Caribbean. And then maybe we'll do Norwegian because I'm most familiar with that one. So NCL. So Royal Caribbean Cruise, I'm going to go here, and then I'm just kind of clicking between both to kind of get them started. So when I'm looking for deals, and I'll get this a little bit bigger, the first thing these cruise lines are going to do is tell you what the promotions are currently. So $800 onboard credit, shop now. So if your days are flexible, right? And this last chance sale, cruises from $249 plus third and fourth guest sale free. You've also got this sign up and receive $100. See, all these things are promos, right? So if your client gives your email, I always tell my clients, if you haven't signed up yet, sign up and screenshot anything, the email or any of that. I can always get this applied. And then scrolling down and seeing what it is they're selling right now, right? So like Wonder is starting from $409. Weekend getaways at Coco Cay starting at $279. Caribbean cruises that are 7-night, $440. Cruises from California starting from $159. Cruises to Alaska. So it just depends on what either you want or what your client wants, where you start those sales. So don't necessarily go straight into cruising to anywhere, leaving from any port, but really see what the promos are and then just follow them along. So let's say the cheapest one right here is cruises from California starting from $159. Shop now. I'll go for the cheapest and see what dates. So sometimes it's right around the corner and sometimes it's 2 years from now. So again, it's going to be the very first top one is going to be that cheapest. Actually, it's not. The second one is $159. That's a 3-night cruise from Ensenada. So view 8 dates here. And it's actually right around the corner. So the lowest price is going to be January 13th to 16th. So if your dates are super flexible, you could always do that. And you could even upgrade to the outside view, the balcony. The suite is sold out, but you can see how easy it is. Actually, interior to balcony is even cheaper than the ocean view, which is $231. So that upgrade to a balcony. So when I'm selling to my clients, to be very honest, I always hop on the consumer portal and see exactly how it is they're marketing to them, what those deals are. Now, something I was mentioning to Kim earlier is that if your clients are looking for a deal, I will tell you right now, this $159 is a great deal. Your commission on the back end is going to be very, very low. So don't market yourself as the cheap, lowest price kind of person. Otherwise, you might only be making like $10 per cruise because this is a very affordable cruise, but it does get people interested knowing that you can do these searches. And we have better booking tools, search tools that you can also use. So that's Royal Caribbean. I'll hop over here to Norwegian. Now, understanding that Royal Caribbean is more of a, like you build it from the base. So kind of like you add what you need. Do you need the drink package, the Wi-Fi, the gratuities? You add those things on. Whereas Norwegian is going to be more of an all-included. So they're going to say that it's free unlimited open bar, free specialty dining. And they've always got little stars next to them. So you just have to read the full terms and conditions of what's included. It's depending on usually how many nights. Free Wi-Fi, free excursion credits, free airfare for the second guest, kids sail free second guest over here, free stateroom upgrade, lots and lots of free. It just, in my opinion, means included, but free looks way better. So the price will be a little higher, but there are some of those things that you can actually pull back to. So that was just a little on that. So this is the one that I see with pricing right here. Bahamas cruises from $199. But of course, you can also scroll down a little bit more and see what other things. They don't have too many promos. And Kim, we were also talking about the 250 for the cruise first, 250 for the $250 to get the $500 credit. It's not showing up on this page, which is really interesting because I would think that that would be the first thing that they would talk about. But we'll talk about that in a second. So Bahamas cruises for $199. Let's see where that takes us. Again, you can sign up for those things as a consumer. Let's see, $199. Let's start here. 4-day Dominican Republic round trip from Miami, Puerto Plata. So view the dates. It's always going to start as interior ocean views, truly only $10 more, and then $10 more for a balcony. So those prices are wildly affordable. So we'll click on this. So this is literally next week that this promo is, because obviously, like we were talking about in the community, these are dates that they have. If they still have room on the sailing, it's now or never for them. So these prices are super low. So clicking through there, kids sail free, only pay taxes and fees. So I'm going to continue through here, selecting that interior at $199. And again, remembering that your commission as a travel advisor will be much lower, but these are great deals. Okay. So you can remove these offers. So this is new that they've got this really blatantly obvious. So when you say it's free unlimited bar, you're still going to have to pay the gratuities on it. So they are outlining it here. Same thing with specialty dining. They made this more clear that you will be paying $20 per person for the one meal. And if it's a longer cruise, it'll be 2 meals. So you can remove specialty dining. You can remove the open bar. You just kind of have to weigh out, is $228 total per stateroom for 2 adults worth it for you to have open bar? For me, it would be, but for other people who don't drink, they can remove it very simply and bring that price back down. So let me remove it just to get that lowest price. As far as I remember, Wi-Fi and excursion credits are always included. They do not have a different cost, and free second guest is already included. Okay. So then the only other thing that I always recommend to my clients is to prepay the gratuities up front, which I don't think is on there, but let's continue and see where it goes. Okay. So we are guest information, adding your guest information there. And then you can add in your latitudes number. So if you have any loyalty with it. So I think from there you get into travel protection and whether or not you want to add gratuity. So the price might go up still a little bit, but right now you're still at $398, which is a pretty good deal for a cruise. And then what Kim was mentioning earlier, we were chatting about too. There are usually travel advisor rates too. Promos, again, Royal Caribbean did one last month where it was only $10 per person per night, and kids sailed free. So it's huge discounts that we were able to take. And then we didn't make the commission up, but travel is still always a tax write-off because it is research and you are learning about the brand. You're going to spend the entire time doing ship tours and experiencing the brand. So those are some ways that we find deals, but also there are travel advisor rates that you could look into as well. All right, so we did flights, we did cruises. The next one I want to show you is sandals is probably the one that I booked the most. And then the last one I'm going to show you is kind of small group tours, which is something that Kim and I look into a lot. So things like Colette, Exotica, where it's going to be these negotiated rates and you can get some really great discounts there. And again, it's either going to be last minute ones or it's going to be all the way out, like 2 years that you're going to be getting these great rates. So as soon as you get into the consumer portal, it says sale ends January 1st, gift the Caribbean. So save up to $1,000 plus $200 resort credit and 1 free night at select resorts. So I always go into view the offer, but I also just want to mention there's also this specials button up at the top right. You can always click on that too. So for this particular offer, view the offer. I'm going to get out of the sign up. And then I'm going to view offer details here, this little button. And then again, offer details. I guess you got to hit it a lot. Okay, this is what I needed, the fine print. So up to $1,000 can be a dollar or it could be up to $1,000, right? So booking window is the 9th all the way through the 2nd. So almost a full month. The travel window per resort is going to be a little bit different just because they've been dealing with all of that in Jamaica too. And then different resorts here, there are blackout dates, which is going to be the week between Christmas and New Year's. And then the instant credit that you get is going to be determined by the length of stay. So if you stay 3 nights, 4 nights, 5, 6, 7, or more is when it's going to go up. So for that $1,000 discount, these are the resorts that they're doing that promo. So St. Vincent, Royal Curacao, Grenada, Barbados, Royal Barbados, and Royal Bahamians. That's where they've got that. If you do 7+ nights, $1,000 off. But if you're at 3 nights, they don't have anything for those resorts. So just no. And also these things will always automatically be added and be factored into the price, whether you're booking as a consumer or booking as a travel advisor. Any offers you see are always going to be on there. You don't have to sit there and like manually apply anything. The one free night is going to be at these very specific resorts in these very specific room categories. So when you're looking at it, you just look at the fine print. Is it these room categories at this particular resort so that you can steer and you can find those best deals. And then whenever it says this web booking bonus, so right now it's at 100, I think usually it's $25 or $50, that also will always be automatically applied. So it says when you're booking through the Sandals website, including the travel advisor bookings made on the TA portal. So don't worry about any of that. And then resort credit, the thing to notice about this, and I know I've spoken to somebody else in the community about this, you typically have to register. So registration is required with Sandals to receive that offer. So once you get a book, once you get a deposit and you have a reservation number, within 72 hours of booking, you have to click on this and register the booking. So you just put the booking number in, dates of travel usually, and name. That's it. You click it. I always take a quick screenshot of it and then keep it and make sure that it gets applied in my contract. And so usually it takes a few days and then that will be applied. It does say offers are valid for new bookings only. I will say I've called in many a time and gotten them to apply it to current bookings. They just rebook it. And it does take a day or two to kind of all come together on the contract. And so I just let my clients know. So that's how I find them on Sandals. So the other one is under specials. They have 777 offers. So every 7 days, it drops on Wednesdays. They have additional 7% off of 7 rooms at different resorts. So you would just click into this. And again, with what's going on in Jamaica right now, they probably have pulled out a few of the Jamaica resorts. It can be a lot better room categories. So like Butler Villa Suite with a private pool. So it's not necessarily going to be those intro room categories. It's whatever they have that's just not selling. So they'll push that. And again, it will always say starting from. So you just follow through and click through and you will see those 777 deals, that additional 7% off when you get into it. So if I click through here, sometimes it's easy to find, sometimes it's a little more difficult. Book now, like you might have to kind of figure out what dates it's that it applies to. So I might have missed that screen, but it's going to get me a little bit deeper. It's going to ask for flights and things like that. So starting with that, stick with the first promo if that's easier. And then the 777 is a little bit of a deeper dive. Okay. Exotica is a really great one. And Colette is another one that we talk about a lot in this group. So same exact thing. When you're in, I think I typed Colette wrong. That's embarrassing. Here we go. You're just going to do the first thing when a trip for 2 to China. So all they want is your email. Travel Tuesday 2025 ending soon. Good God, it ended a week ago. But anyways, knockout deals here, Black Friday prices, hot deals. So if you're flexible, just go for whatever speaks to you. You know, so a lot of times these prices are inflated just to get you excited, but $15.99, and it's going to usually include flights and a little bit of meals and your accommodations. And then there's always ways to upgrade. So there's like, normal accommodations, like medium accommodations, and better accommodations is usually how it goes. For Colette, I know they were doing a big Black Friday sale, holiday gift guide. I'm not seeing anything pop out on the very first screen, but I do see a deals button here. So I would click there. And again, travel advisors, once you get through the training, you are going to get the travel advisor rate. So you're going to get these, I think it's $100 per person per day deals. And then flights are usually separate because they don't know where you're coming from. So checking out anything that's kind of crossed off is where you're going to know what they're promoting right now. So anything here. And even when you click into, say, this $25.99 Spotlight on London, it says save up to $200, which is not a ton. They're definitely way better. But when you click to view dates, it's the flexibility in dates that's going to get you the discounts. See, like right here, they've got a $27.99 for the double. If you're a single person and you want a whole room to yourself, you're $35.49, but still discounted down to the $25.99 and $33.49. And then it goes up as the dates kind of go along. So if you want to stay in that 2000 plus range, it's the sooner the better on this one. It's in May. And then when you get into summer, it gets more expensive. So that's how I find the deals there. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to go ahead and close out, and then we can use the tab under the community to kind of talk about this a little bit more. The deals that you find, brands that you love, and how you kind of search for your clients. And do you hunt for deals for your clients and kind of keep them that way? Or are you more of a, I'm going to customize your trip to the dates that you have, but getting them like the best value for their dollar is still always a good thing to do. All right.